I'm Doreen Fu Croft, and actually a Joe. I'm sure you've heard a lot about the different names, and when my father went to school with my two uncles, they were all called Joe because the family name always comes first. And so when they went to school, they were known as Joe Fu, Joe Wing, Joe Wa, and nobody ever questioned why their first names were all the same, but they probably figured, oh well, these Chinese. My grandparents settled in Marysville and Yuba City in 1850s. My grandmother came to Marysville, I think, as a very young girl, either 11 or 12, something like that. And she was, in a sense, given away to this family that brought her to California because girls were not highly regarded or respected in China. And where our family came from, which is in the Guangdong area outside of Canton, there was a great deal of famine at that time. And so my grandmother was given to this family as we call it moi nui, but she was really like a nanny in a sense, but she had to earn her way. And I wish that I had asked her so many questions about it, because to this day, Katie didn't know either. I asked the rest of the family whether she had siblings, whether she, what happened, if she had any memories of her brothers and sisters, if she had any, and of her parents. But that was the last that she ever saw of her family when she was 11 years old or 9 or whatever age she was. Katie said she was washing Grandma's hair one time and said, "What's that bump on your head?" And so Grandma said that when she was in the hold of a ship, all the people, the Chinese who were coming from China, had to be in the hold of the ship. They didn't get to ride first class. And she got curious and she started going up the stairs of the hold to look out, and this big black man just went boo at her and scared her, and she'd never seen a black person in her whole life, and she was so shocked. She fell backwards and she had a concussion, and she said she was bleeding, and she probably was out, I don't know, but she said she had that big bump in her head for the rest of her life because that was the first time she'd ever seen a black man. So that was her experience coming over. Daddy was born in Yuba City, and I think that's the thing that made his generation unique, because most people his age were from China. When Daddy started school, he had the long queue, and the boys would pick on him and make fun of him, and I guess he wore a little cap, of course. And so he told me, he said one time, he just couldn't take it anymore, and so finally he cut his queue off, and he took a rubber band, and when he went home, he would band it back on, and during the day when he was in school, he'd stick it in his pocket. And one day, I guess Grandma, bumped or pulled it somehow, and it came off, and she just sat down and sobbed. And so then, he says, after that, he got a real licking from her, and that was how he cut his hair off. He became best friends with this Jewish boy who used to fight with him all the time. And at Dad's funeral, when he died, Jake Abrams, who had been one of the boys who picked on him when he went to school, was at the funeral, and he was sobbing because he and Daddy became very close friends. And after my father was paralyzed and in a wheelchair for 22 years, Jake used to come over at night and they'd play coon can together. So they got to be real good buddies, old friends.
Frank Kim, and my Chinese name is Zhao Kim Hong, Zhou being my family name. My grandfather was very active in the Marysville Chinese community. That's Zhou Kim Wing. And the building on 228 First Street, Marysville, is known as the Kim Wing Building. It has a big sign way on the top, the Kim Wing Building, named after him. He had that built, and it housed his entire family. Well, in 1938, I had just came back from China because I was born in Marysville. At 9 months old, my mother took my sister Ella Wing, the two of us, back to China. And during the outbreak of the war with Japan, Ella and I both came back alone with family friends, and my mother remained in China. So I was raised by an aunt and uncle in Marysville. So in 1938, I couldn't speak English, and I recall being teased about not being able to speak English. And I have to admit, I looked a little different than everybody else. I wore short pants, and nobody else wore short pants. And I had very, very close cropped hair. Those were my recollections. And we all lived in Chinatown on First Street, First and C. And so we had all the Chinese kids in that area, and we played in that big vacant lot on First and C. I also recall that there was a Chinese mission run by missionaries on the west side of the lot on First and C. The missionary was a Mrs. Robinson, a dear lady, just a dear lady. And ironically, approximately 2 doors to the south of the mission was the brothels, the stairs going up to the brothels. Well, the building is plaster with some brick, and there is a steel balcony outside. It's made out of steel. And so during Bomb Day festivities in the early days, everybody would stand out on the balcony to watch the festivities down on First and C Street. And so we have a parlor, and then there are bedrooms. They were very small bedrooms. And in the second floor, there was only one bathroom. One bathroom for, God, there had to be about 9 people living on the second floor with one bathroom. So you can imagine the problem comes when everybody had to go to school or whatnot, trying to get in at the same time. We had a central kitchen on the second floor, in which my aunt would cook the meals for everybody in the whole family, and we all ate adjacent to the kitchen. Big round table. Chinese people always have round tables. 1, you get to see everyone. 2, you can seat more, I think. You can seat more. And one thing that we are taught, that before the youngsters can eat, we must say to each elder, like, Uncle Joe, please, Sik Fan, please eat your rice. Aunt Ida, please eat your rice. Aunt Ruby, please eat your rice, in Chinese. Right down the line to all the elders before the youngster can eat. That was taught to us.
Bing, middle name is Ang Bing Hock. Bing Hock, see. Bing Hock is my real name. Bing Hock. Ong Bing Hock, see. Bing Hock Ong, see.
And where were you born?
In China. Canton, China. 1923, September 10. Main thing is there's no law. You can do anything you want, like sell opium or girls or whatever, gambling. No law. Each village take care of their own, see. My grandfather, he's real smart. I help him brew whiskey. You know the rice hull for burning, big wok, you know, to make the brewed whiskey. You have to throw the rice hull, spread it out. See, keep throwing all day. Keep throwing. That's how to brew whiskey. So we recycle, see, rice, you know, burning, big whiskey, see. Well, later, me and my cousin got drunk. One night we got drinking peanuts and drinking, got threw up all over the bed. So my grandfather, that's no real doctor, you know, that's not like here, no real doctor. You know, he called a doctor anyway, this doctor called doctor. He said, they just get drunk. My number 3 uncle sells opium. And I help him. I smoked 10, 12 years old. There's no law. Anybody can smoke. But only main thing is I don't get the habit, see. Opium, real addictive, you know, really addictive. Yeah.
Were there many addicts in your village?
Oh, yeah. You know, smoke opium, you have to lay down and smoke. Yeah, a pipe, a lamp.
So you saw that?
Oh, I helped them put the opium in the pipe, in the hole. Hey, I'm illegal. My father, he'd been here already a long time. My mother then came later. I was born in China already. They don't have the thing to get me over. Didn't have the legal right to get me over. So he get somebody else paper.
So you're a paper son.
Yeah, paper son. No, nobody know about.
I won't tell anybody.
But 80-90% of Chinese, same thing, came from China. Because they discriminate Chinese, can't get the woman over, so nobody else born here. Hardly anybody born here.
Was your father a paper son?
I think maybe. No, business. Came over business. You can come professional, can come over. I came with somebody else's son. Paper.
Wasn't your name?
No, not my real name. What year San Francisco fire?
1906.
1906. A lot of men came over here. They burn all the paper, so they file. They say I got how many sons in China? Mostly son. Not too many girls, you know. I said, but my father got 5 sons. He said, I got 5 sons in China. See? I'm the youngest one of the 5. We have to read what his family what kind of family, what's the name, and everything. Their family. You know, it's just in case immigration asks. Then we arrived in Long Beach, immigration. I stayed there, maybe a couple months, maybe, jail, put in jail. Just like jail. Just like jail. In fact, I got sick. I got, what kind of sick I was? Had to go to the hospital. In fact, I almost didn't come. Few questions, I missed wrong answer. Lucky, I get to go to the hospital. Then my family come over, hey, you say, you answer the wrong question. Get me help. Then when I got out of hospital, I told him I got the wrong answer and that got to come to U.S. Otherwise, I go back China.
Did you know anybody that had to go back to China?
Oh yeah, a lot of them. In fact, my number 5 uncle, he'd go back. He don't care. He's just a playboy, you know. He don't study, you know.
They just fitted in so beautifully because their people at home wanted them to succeed. And, you know, when the parents want the children to just succeed, it's a very great help to the teacher. And so I always loved having the Chinese because they were not unruly. They were always easy to teach because they adapted themselves to what we were trying to do. And then I taught Clara Waugh. Joe Waugh was supposed to be the mayor of Chinatown, you know, and he had a wonderful family. And the little girl, Clara, drew a picture of herself, and she made herself with yellow hair, and of course her hair was very black, and she said, "This is my picture," and I said, "But look, your hair is the wrong color." "Yes, but," she said, "that's the color I want it to be." She wanted it to be yellow, and of course it was very dark black. But we fixed it up some way, made everybody happy. But I often laugh to her when I see her. I said, "Oh, I remember what you did when you made a picture of yourself. You made yourself with yellow hair."
I went to Marysville Grammar School, the old one, the 2-story, the big one, you know, big one. I stayed in the special 7th class. The student didn't make it, can't go the 8th grade. They still stay in the 7th class. There's a special 7th class. That's all the immigrants stay in that class. Same dumbbell 7th class. We're special. They give us book every day, no? From kindergarten, keep reading, give us book. I graduated 2.5 years. Can you believe that? Graduate grammar school, 2.5 years.
From high school, I wanted to go to Stanford, and I remember Mr. Dawson, who was principal, coming into our class when I was a junior and saying, "Who's going to go to college?" And so, of course, I raised my hand, and he went around asking everybody, "Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go?" And most of the people said Cal, because in those days, you know, Cal was free. Anybody who lived in California could go to University of California for nothing. And so most of the kids said to Cal, and I said to Stanford. And I remember so clearly Mr. Dawson says, you'll never make it. You know why? Because first of all, you're a woman, you're Chinese, and they won't take you. because they'll only take 500 women, and they don't, like minorities, something of that sort. And it was embarrassing to hear that in class in front of everybody, and I thought, well, we'll see. And so I did get into Stanford, and after I got in, I remember coming home one time, and Mr. Dawson came over to visit. And I reminded him of what he said, and of course he says, oh, I don't remember saying that. But it was an impetus for me anyway.
One time, I went to the movies at the State Theater, that's on E Street. Coming home from the movie, it was about 6 o'clock in the evening. And on 5th Street, I was walking with my brother, and along comes this red-headed guy. His last name is Benton, Red Benton. And he went and pushed me from the sidewalk, see? And my brother beat the hell out of him. And that guy never hit me again, see? So that was in the, I would say that was about in the 1928, 29, 1930. Because about 1931, I went in high school myself then, you see? So actually, in those days, I thought we took just so much, and then we fought back. And that was the beginning of our group there fighting back, because it got to be that way. I don't know why people do that. I'm not proud of it, but I'm just glad it happened, because we finally got a little recognition.
I've always liked sports, and in Marysville we had basketball teams. All the boys got together, and we would form a basketball team, and we would play against the other Chinese kids in Sacramento, Ileton, Locke, Stockton, and as many teams that we could find. And we always looked forward to it because it was a social thing. Afterwards, after the dance, they would put on a little refreshment and a dance afterwards. So we get to know the girls, the boys get to know the girls, and our local girls get to know some of their boys. So it was a thing we looked forward to, and it has established long-term friendship, even to this day. The Japanese had their own separate leagues. They had their own baseball team playing against their own JACL, the Japanese American Citizens League, and their own basketball teams. Whereas the Chinese, we stay on our own. We play against the other Chinese. And it's only in school that we play with whites, Japanese, who happen to be on the team. It's a cohesive effect to bring the immigrant community together, and they play against other immigrant communities. And again, it spreads out the friendship beyond the city limits. My childhood had a tremendous influence on my present life. Money was tight. 10 cents got me to a movie at the Tower Theater on D Street, on 1st and D. My recollection is that from a very early age, I worked. And I would go down the street after school on Saturday and Sunday, summer vacation, and I would go to all the gambling parlors and say, "You want to shine, mister? Shine, mister?" During the war, the soldiers from Camp Beale, they were good tippers. I would make maybe $18 a day shining shoes, and that's a lot of shoes. I'd be out, we'll say, by 9:30 in the morning. I wouldn't come home till about 5 o'clock, and I'll bring home $18. But I never liked being a shoe shine boy. I'll be very honest with you. I somehow felt it was demeaning. And I cringe that I didn't want to see my American classmates to see me shining shoes, because they didn't have to shine shoes. And now, even to this day, when if I wore a suit and I take my suit off and a dime fell off somewhere on the floor, if it takes me an hour, I'd find that dime. even today, because that dime meant a pair of shoes that I shined, and it got me to a movie theater to see a movie.
My regular customer was Sheriff Charlie McCoy. He comes down there and he always get me. Said, "Shine my shoe, Charlie." He knows my name. He knows everybody down Chinatown. And I would shine it was a nickel to shine the shoes, but he always give me a dime. And he treated me fairly. I can still remember Charlie with his brown derby hat, three-piece suit, vest with a chain with a gold tooth on it, and black lace-up shoes. Yeah, I can still remember very vividly. But he always treated me like a human being. And I did a good job on the shoe all the time, and he loves it. It's hard to earn 40 cents a week, shiny shoe, because down there hardly anyone care about their parents or the shoe, but it was a living for us.
And Charlie McCoy was one of these that really, really liked the Chinese people, you know, and he even learned to speak Chinese, you know. And he'd go down Chinatown where the Chinese had their gambling places, and he'd go around and say, "Look, Eli, Eli," and there's a cop coming. So they'd hide all their money.
Do you remember Charlie McCoy?
Yeah, he's the sheriff. As a matter of fact, he owes me quite a few firearms. Yeah. He came down one time and asked my dad to lend him some pistols, you know, for whatever, and he never gave it back. I guess evidently he was a friend of my dad too, you know, and he asked my dad for it, and of course, you know, all of us down Chinatown there, if you want to stay alive, you better have some firearms. You know, you have to, you know, not that they have to worry about outside of Chinatown, but inside of Chinatown, there's the Tong Wars.
During the Tong War, my uncle was over there on First and C Street at the Sui Sing building. And he had this watch. It was one of those fob watches that you used to put in your vest, you know, and that bullet hit the watch. So he wasn't injured. And he lived through that.
Tell me a little bit about your father. What did he do for a living?
When he came, I think he worked in a winery. They don't call it a winery, they were grape juice. But they said grape juice, so grape juice. They work in the winery, actually winery, I guess. Then later he came to Marysville, opened the gambling places. He got money in 3 gambling places. That's why he got money to open the Lotus Inn.
Did he have a sign in front that said gambling hall?
No. In fact, they have the front a cigar store or soda pop store or whatever, or little coffee shop or whatever. Little door go in the gambling. Just a little door, and a little door here. That is a little window there. Window and a glass, two-way mirror. Somebody watching, sit there all day long, watch it. Make sure no cop come in.
But it was illegal in the state of California to gamble. So how did Marysville get around that?
Well, I don't know. What they did is every month, 2 months, or 3 months, they state the rate. They call, hey, We're coming in, get ready. Then the gambling place, who going to send two people to get arrested, you know. They sometimes, you can see the mark on the door, X marks. See the X, just little marks, you know. they take two people down the city hall, both give them fake name or whatever. Well, we try to rate them, you know. But they can make money under the table, pay the city officials, the DA or the supervisor or city council under the table. That's how they wide open.
So, what kind of gambling?
All kind, any kind. Wheels, crab, keno, originally only Chinese gamble. The gold mining days, only Chinese. See. Gold mining day, maybe 10 gambling places. But when I came about 5 or 6 gambling places, that's all I think. What we see, everybody outside walking, a lot of people walking outside, day and night walking. Not like now, nobody don't see anybody walking. Bars, oh yeah, maybe 30, 40 bars. Marysville, the hub. Everybody came to Marysville. Every city, all around, came to Marysville. And all houses. 34 whole houses. Famous Ann Davis, next to the levee on second floor. You know about that? Ann Davis? Next to the levee, on second story. So everybody come to Lotus Inn, to all the politicians or whatever, come to Lotus Inn, eat. You say, hey, let's go to check the levee. We're levee commissioner. We go out, check the levee. Everybody, just one block. To see Ann Davis. See Ann. One block, go up upstairs, check the levee, look at the levee. Next to the levee.
And in Marysville, you know, going in and out of the gambling places, and my dad owned some property where there were prostitutes, you know, and those were all allowed, and so my mother would take me to collect the rent in these houses of ill repute, but I never knew what they were. I thought those ladies were so pretty, and they always wore such pretty jewelry, and they'd say, oh, you're such a pretty little girl, you're going to grow up to be a movie star, and they'd have all these beautiful fingernails, and I thought, wow, I like them, and my mother would say, no, they're bad ladies, you know, and I couldn't understand what that meant, because she'd always go there to collect rent from them, so I don't know how bad they could be, but they were always so fun. The Bacchae Festival was, I think, the highlight of our Chinese social life. We rehearsed for it, we got ready for it, and as I say, those were the good old days when there were a lot of young Chinese people there. And so I remember my mother always got in touch with Jackie Kim, and Jackie is the one who used to listen to the radio all the time, and he'd write down all the hit parade songs and write down the words to them, and then he'd memorize them, and he had a nice singing voice. And so we'd sit there, I remember, in front of his place in Chinatown and go through. He had a little black notebook with all of these songs, and Mom say, what's this one? Sing this one, or sing this one. And Jackie would sing them to us, and Mom would say, okay, I think Doreen should learn this one. And so then she'd buy the sheet music. And Mary Bagby, really nice black lady who played piano for all of us and could just play by ear, would play the music, and I would learn the song. And so then at Bomb Day, that was what I sang. And I remember Danny Kim and I sang, "Boo-hoo, you've got me crying for you." And very often I'd do my little tap dance and do a song, and that was our performance.
Oh, it was a highlight every year. Sometimes we took our school, and every year everybody looked forward to the Bokai Parade. It was just a big community affair. Real big. Large crowds from all over. From throughout the United States they came to the Bokai Temple because it was an active temple. The different organizations would have these big floats, and sometimes the county would have the teachers shown on one of the floats. The floats were beautiful, just beautiful, like the Rose Parade.
Bomb Day Parade. When I was a young kid, I performed with them when they had the lion dance, you know. Not the dragon dance. The dragon dance was a bunch of guys and one guy leading, holding the front of the dragon, and then they trail back, no dancing. My brother and I attempted to put a little life into the lion dance. He was the head and I was the tail. And we did some acrobatics, and one of the acrobatics we did was to climb a mountain, and at that right time we just did a somersault, go over on one side and landed on the ground about 3 feet down, you know, after climbing the so-called mountain, you know. And that was our only contribution to that dance, you know, because nobody ever did that before. we did it, and we got a big applause for that, and nobody else ever tried it anymore either. Actually, the lion dance was generally somebody not from Marysville. It's generally we imported a guy that was supposed to be good at it from San Francisco. So I don't know too much about that. I think he was paid for doing that, you see. That guy, he was quite a martial arts man. I remember he was very good at it. He was supposed to be like what you see in the movies now with these Jackie Chan and so forth and so on. He was something like that, see. And so he was looked up to by the community, and he was the guy that to take all the credit for that.
It was not called Bokai Festival then, as I was growing up. It was called Bomb Day. The Bomb Day being the firing of the big firecrackers, all right? And then it attracted Chinese from all of North America, because it was reputed that the owner of the third bomb, or a certain number of bombs, the third bomb and the fifth bomb, would have a year of good fortune, good luck, prosperity. And it got to the point whereby these young hoodlums from San Francisco, the Chinese toughs, would come in, and they would fight for the bomb in the sense that this bamboo ring would go hundreds of feet in the air, and it's at land, they'll all fight for it. All right, then just because someone got their hands on it is not enough, because everybody is going to take it away from them.
They number all the bombs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, like that. And one bomb is supposed to be automatically the best bomb you can get, the luckiest one, 4, yeah. But that doesn't mean that number 1 is any worse. Say, for instance, if some guy had a good year, he made a pile of money, but he went and prayed with the bomb that he had. He had got the bomb, he bought it from somebody, and he says, well, this is going to bring me luck. He might have bought number 5 or number 6. But if he has a good year, next year he comes back to the Bomb Day celebration, he tells people, he says, if I get number 6, I'll be very happy, and I'm willing to pay $5,000 for it. Yeah, or $10,000, see? Or maybe some in a little business, but I'll pay $100 for that. But anyway, those bombs are worth something. And especially to the one that thinks that's the bomb that is his lucky bomb, he'll pay good money for it. So it ended up that there are a lot of people that went in primarily to get that bomb, see? And it got a lot of fighting goes on for it. As a matter of fact, a lot of guys got hurt to go for that one bomb. I think the one time one guy went and brought out a knife and started hacking away, you see. And so I think old Sheriff McCoy came out and kind of put a stop to that.
The temple was open at that time too.
Yes.
What would go on at the temple during those
Well, the people would come and worship. They bring a whole roast pig. The idea behind that is that they want to come and worship and bring food for a relative that had passed away. And they burn funeral money for the people that have gone, that they have money to spend in heaven.
In Marysville, on the corner across from Mama's place, which would be right underneath the Sui Sing building. Right underneath the Sui Sing building was a very prominent gambling hall. And as a shoe shine boy, I made it a point always to hit all the Chinese gambling halls. And a lot of Filipino farm workers were gambling, a lot of Chinese people were gambling, and they had the Chinese lotteries with the ping pong balls, with the numbers, and then they marked the tickets, you know, in Chinese pen and ink. And then at the Pai Gao, Chinese dominoes, tables, they would bet, and I would always stand there with my shoe shine box, because the winner would always give lucky money to me. And in Chinese, it's called chanji. Chanji, meaning maybe you gave me good luck, so here's a tip. Here's a tip for you to bring me good luck, or because you gave me good luck, or I had good luck. So many times I would get maybe $1 or $2 from each place I hit. So I enjoyed it, and the establishment knew my family. They knew me, so they didn't kick me out. I didn't bother anybody. I just stood there at the gambling tables. So it was good recollection. One of my most vivid memories of the Bomb Day festivities was that after midnight, at one of the Tong buildings, and I won't mention which one, all the women and children were out to bed, and they showed the blue movies. I was in high school at the time, and I sneaked up there, and they had the blue movies going, and they had folding chairs, and seated in the front row, I think, was the chief of police and the sheriff and all the public officials. And so I never forgot that. It made an impression on my mind. Of course, now it's legal. Now it's legal, but at that time it was not.
To see all the gamblers, I mean, there were Filipinos, there were lots of Hindus in those days that, you know, wore their turbans. And we were right next to the railroad tracks, and so there were hobos during the Depression that just got off the train and they'd come to our house and ask for food. My grandmother always made whatever they wanted to order. They'd come and ask for a sandwich with, you know, mustard, mayonnaise, whatever, and she'd make it for them. And so I just got to know, you know, the difference between a drunk and I don't know, a cocaine addict or whatever, and I was never afraid. I was never taught to be afraid of anybody, you know, who might mug me or you know, rob me. Those things just didn't happen. We just walked up and down Marysville streets. So I'm very glad that I had that opportunity to get to know different kinds of people. Of course, at the time, I don't think I appreciated it. I wanted to be more like, you know, my friends who were white and who were middle class.
During the time when we were youngsters, gambling was allowed, and prostitution flourished, and there were drunks lying on the streets of 2nd and C, 2nd and D streets. And yet, the Chinese youngsters that grew up in that era, we all became tax-paying, upstanding American citizens. Chinese culture and the family units were such that each person must be responsible for their own actions. And our parents and those who raised us emphasize the fact that if you do anything bad, you not only disgrace your own family, you disgrace the whole Chinese community. And that's the stigma that is very severe and very important to the Chinese family and the Chinese culture, and is deeply etched in the subconscious and the conscious mind of the youngsters. And as a result, we just didn't do anything bad, because we knew that if we did, number one, no matter what excuse that we get, that, well, you know, it wasn't my fault, but if it was sure that it was your fault, then we were going to get punished by our own parents, who will then be looked down upon by the Chinese community as having embarrassed the Chinese community. So as a result, the Chinese kids sought to excel.
It was an interesting community, and we worked as a community to a great extent in those days, you know, which was good, because we honored each people's background, and that was good. That was America.
He said, "Reebok